So I already talked about some of my favorite album covers of this year, and I thought it might be cool to follow that up with some of the worst album covers that I've seen all year. Bear in mind, of course, this is all just coming from my subjective point of view. There's obviously no way to evaluate art objectively. And even though I am an artist, I still have biases and things I'm drawn towards and turned away from. Without further ado, my first pick is Vampire Weekend's Father of the Bride. Yeah, man, the world motif is just so out of the blue and cliche and does not complement the orange stripe on the left side of this cover whatsoever. I don't understand the fascination with this just awful color scheme, but hey man, so be it. But then there's also the fact that the text that goes around the circle is like stretched in a way that it shouldn't be, and you can tell that it is that way because right above it, the Vampire Weekend uses a similar font and it's not stretched. Also, the fact the cover is going for this more simplistic, sleek look makes the text that much more noticeable in the worst way. I'm utterly lost on how any of this connects to the music. I mean, other than it being similarly hollow and faceless, but at least the music had a few things going for it. And it's kind of tragic because Vampire Weekend have had some decent covers in the past, all of which have followed a similar format, and this is just like the one that decided to suck. I don't fucking get it. Yeah, next up I was thinking the Two Door Cinema Club album cover. Why do Two Door Cinema Club look like the Wiggles here? Also, the new Opia EP is pretty fucking terrible. It looks like the artist just searched how to make cool marble effect on YouTube. And the color scheme just reminds me of like a 14-year-old girl's bedroom in like the worst way possible. Not a fan. Next up I was thinking the new Sun cover, unfortunately. I'm not saying the artist didn't put honest effort into this, and it is pretty individual when compared to the rest of their album art, but it just reminds me of like something that would come up on a free backgrounds app on your iPod Touch back in the day. It's just way too stiff and squeaky clean to be all that evocative and just screams Default Sky to me in the worst way possible, so I'm not feeling this one, but pretty good album, honestly. Next up, oh boy, this one's the new Hot Chip album, A Bath Full of Ecstasy. Now, I know this was intentional, but I feel like I'm in a fortune teller's office looking at soaps right now. The way the text is spaced too, like the giant space in between the O and the F and of. Same case with the way bath and full, which are separate in the album's title, are just squeezed together as if bath full with one L isn't like a perfectly usable word that means the same thing, that they could have just stuck in place of that. I assume the artist was trying to make the spacing look more natural on the cover, but just ended up making it look so much worse in the process. And then there's the fact the color scheme just looks like the most default watercolor palette of all time. And then there are those like white splotchy things which kind of remind me of like leaves or lily pads, which just makes me feel like I'm playing a really poorly developed computer game that involves like frogs or nature or some shit. I just don't like this in any respect. Skepta's new album has a pretty god-awful cover that reminds me of like Mac Photo Booth Thermal Effect meets the Brady Bunch. Not feeling it. After that I was thinking Schlagenheim by Black Midi. I can't wrap my head around any decision made here. I have to assume that the green rectangle in the corner is supposed to like even out the composition, but it doesn't intersect with it in a way that looks purposeful or even, and then the fact that it's so hard-edged and rigid against this very organic shape just makes it that much worse. I don't know why there's another long skinny rectangle to the right of that, and then there's another one at the bottom of that. I don't know why green and pink were chosen for the colors. Legit, none of this seems logical or evocative to me. It just frustrates me every time I look at it, and I'm not a fan. Next up I was thinking the new cover for the album by none other than King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard themselves. This is just like the same aesthetic that King Gizzard have been putting into all of their album covers. It's just that this one is significantly more thoughtless and slapped together. Like, that is abundantly clear to me when I look at it. And the color scheme is just so fucking muddy and gross and just, no. Nope. Next up, the new Gunna album, Drip or Drown 2. Okay, so I have a few questions. Why, is he holding an umbrella if he's already submerged head to toe in water? Like, this has to be symbolic of something. Like, is he saying he's gonna continue to deflect the haters even if they're all around him and seemingly inescapable? I mean, wow. Yeah, so the new Catfish and the Bottlemen album just proves the fact that the band is the literal epitome of low effort, even in their cover art. It's like they had one idea one time and no one can stop them from just like repeating it forever. So yeah, I hope you guys are ready for like 10 more of the same album, because I wouldn't be surprised if that came. Yeah, next up, the new Mac DeMarco. A paperweight, bro? Like, with a fucking smile? Like, what? I guess both Paperweights and this album are perfect examples of looking pleasant-ish on a surface level, but serving literally no purpose to anyone whatsoever, so... Okay. Yeah, next up, DJ Khaled. And then we've got Ribbons by Bibio. So it's clear what the artist was trying to do here, but I feel like they think they were really hitting on like a great idea when it just ain't that deep. Once again, the photo chosen just looks really default and manufactured. The ribbons themselves don't subsect the photo in a way that looks remotely logical or intentional. To pull this off, you would have to think about what it looks like when you squint, and this just looks like a fucking blob. Even getting past that, there's definitely a word for the technique used where you fade a photo into a person's face, which I'm forgetting off top, but the point is, it's everywhere and it's cliche. Last but not least, the new Black Dresses album. I understand all you're doing is playing with the sliders on Photoshop, dude, and I know that's intentional. I know the color palette and blockiness is supposed to make it look fucked, but it just comes across as really gimmicky to me, just like their music. Who said that? Anyway, let me know which of these you actually like. Let me know which I missed, because I'm sure there are some atrocities that I haven't seen yet that I would love to to witness. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.